Hi everyone. Today I am going to discuss how classroom management supports for effective teaching and learning. After listening to this session, you should be able to define what is classroom management, explain the goals of classroom management, know about principles of classroom management, understand the various functions teachers should perform in classroom management, explain the importance of classroom management, and finally, you will be able to practice the techniques that can be used for effective classroom management. First of all, I would like to give you a brief introduction about classroom management and what research says about it. Teachers as classroom managers need to play a major role for making teaching and learning more effective and efficient. It is the responsibility of the teachers to make their class interesting so that students are keen to attend and participate in learning. However, teachers, administrators, parents, and students all view classroom management as a critical component of teaching. Therefore, becoming an effective classroom manager is not easy. Research shows that problems with classroom management often lead to teacher stress, anxiety, burnout, and even the decisions to leave the profession. Beginning teachers constantly perceive student behavior as one of their most serious challenges. And even experienced teachers can have difficulties due to having a class where there is a large number of students to teach. Increase in cultural and linguistic diversity. The instructions, inclusion of children with disabilities, and the narrowing of the curriculum to prepare for high-stakes standardized tests. Further, the recent research findings say that teachers complain about the class which they teach. The main problem is related to students' behavior and discipline. For example, teachers say that students are generally irregular to class. They don't pay much attention on education, and they don't even bother about rules and regulations set by the school. However, if we suspend such students from their class or lessons just because of their indisciplineness, they will be in great trouble in the future. Therefore, we as teachers, classroom managers must pay due attention on classroom management concept, mainly because the quality of teaching learning process depend on how teachers manage their classroom. Teaching doesn't mean controlling students, but rather working with them so that they can obtain high levels of educational achievements. Therefore, classroom should be a place for each and every student to express their feelings and work together if teachers build strong student-teacher relationships. Academic success depends on these close relationships and guidance. Researchers further found that the classroom management aims at establishing student self-control through a process of promoting collaborative working culture and behavior. Therefore, teacher-student behavior, teacher effectiveness, and educational achievement are directly linked with the concept of classroom management. Educationalists and the researchers further have found that discipline is one of the most serious obstacles to promote efficient and effective teaching. Therefore, proper classroom management leads to class control and conducive teaching learning environment. Therefore, we can say that classroom management means adding everything together into the pyramid so that teachers can make teaching and learning more effective and efficient. What is classroom management? Simply you can say management of both physical and human resources inside the classroom effectively and efficiently. Or you can identify, recognize classroom management can be defined as the actions teachers take to establish and sustain an environment that fosters students' academic achievement as well as their social, emotional, and moral growth. Classroom management is certainly concerned with behavior, but it can also be defined more broadly as involving the planning, organizing, and control of learners, the learning process, and the classroom environment to create and maintain an effective learning experiences. Then we need to discuss about the main goals of classroom management. There are two main goals have been recognized. The first one is to create and maintain a positive, productive learning environment. The second one is to support and encourage a safe classroom community. Therefore, the main goal of classroom management is not to order for order's sake, but to order for the sake of learning. Principles of successful classroom management. What are the principles for successful classroom management? Deal with disruptive behaviors. It is obvious that the students display disruptive behaviors sometimes, but teachers should not ignore them, but they need to be controlled. The most important thing is that teachers should make sure that they have selected the most appropriate human resource management strategies. Also, they should make sure that the strategies they choose do not make any harm for their students. The second principle is teach students to manage their own behavior. Self-management means that the students pay attention to their own behavior and to complete activities, engage in interactions, using appropriate behavior. Therefore, Self-management always facilitates students to develop various skills related to social interaction. Gradually, students learn to be on task and engage in the learning activities you have planned for them. Therefore, in the process of classroom management, teachers need to aware the goals of classroom management and the principles for successful classroom management as well. Then it is important to know what are the various activities teachers should perform in classroom management. Teachers, of course, should perform all the managerial activities introduced by Henry Fayol, the scientific management philosopher. For an example, teachers need to engage in planning, organizing, coordinating, directing or supervising and controlling. So these are the main managerial functions that each and every manager engage in their organization. Therefore, when considering planning, what should teachers plan? What should teachers organize as classroom managers? They, of course, need to plan and organize lessons as well as the physical structure in the classroom. When planning the lessons, first of all, they have to decide the intended learning outcomes of the particular lesson. That means at the end of the lesson, what they expect from students to achieve. Therefore, once teachers decide ILOs, intended learning outcomes, then they have to decide the most suitable teaching methodologies. There are different kinds of teaching methodologies that can be used for teachers to teach a lesson. For an example, group method, brainstorming, discussion, project methods, and several others. Therefore, they need to decide what would be the most appropriate teaching methodology. Then they have to plan out the teaching aids that they are going to use. Here teachers need to think why we have to use appropriate teaching aids, because teaching aids facilitates students' learning. Therefore, teachers as classroom managers should succeed in selecting the most appropriate teaching methods as well as teaching strategies. Not only that, they have to plan how teachers should approach to the lesson. Lesson approach should be more interesting. It should succeed to get students' attention. Therefore, teachers need to select more attractive lesson approach. Then they have to decide and plan what are the other stages of the lesson, how students engage in activities. Therefore, there are many more things that teachers have to plan and organize. Moreover, they need to think about time. How many minutes teachers are going to use for lesson approach and several other stages, and how they are going to evaluate the students. In this sense, it is clear that it is not an easy task. Teachers have to engage in all the managerial activities. When considering the organizing physical structure should be more attractive. It should be more comfortable and safe for each and every student and the teachers as well. It should be more pleasant. Therefore, it is teachers' responsibility to engage in all the managerial activities so that they can make their teaching much more effective and interesting. Directing or supervising, they need to think why we need to direct our students, or why we need to supervise our students. Because to see gradual improvement, development, not just to find fault or any mistakes or errors, but to support them so that they can achieve more and more. Therefore, supervision or direction should not make any harm in any way. Then when considering the controlling, now this is the big issue for each and every teacher today. They are facing very challenging situations due to disruptive behaviors of the students. Students exhibit disruptive behaviors. We should expect this, that is obvious, but our responsibility is to control them. Therefore, the quality of teaching learning depends on how teachers manage the classroom, how teachers engage in all these managerial activities. Therefore, they need to think and plan and organize each and every steps of the lesson so that students can learn and engage in the lesson happily and constructively. Then it is important to discuss why classroom management is important. But there are several reasons. To get students to engage in activities, as I discussed earlier, the classroom management is important for ensuring that students learn well, engaging in activities designed for them, engaging students in lessons by asking questions and employing both verbal and non-verbal teaching methods to ensure that students are paying more attention, sufficient attention to the lesson. Engaging students to improve their confidence and make the lessons more effective. To manage classroom time effectively. Therefore, classroom managers need to think about time management aspect. To manage classroom time effectively, the efficient use of time is an important variable in helping students achieve learning goals and making the classroom a pleasant place for both teachers and students. Instructional strategies must be planned to fit into fixed time frame. Variables that affect teachers' use of time includes non-instructional routines, procedures, transitions between activities or classes, and other interruptions as well. Sound behavior management to avoid classroom indiscipline. Now you see, classroom discipline management is a skill that should be practiced daily. Sound behavior management creates environmental context that makes effective instructions. An effective discipline plan is the key to sound behavior management. A teacher should be fair and consistent towards students. Teachers must come to the class prepared for lesson. must be aware of what is happening in the classroom. Make classroom rules understandable. Use humor to diffuse situations and avoid sarcasm. To maintain a positive classroom atmosphere, developing and maintaining a supportive learning environment is a basic rule for effective teaching. Managing the learning environment is an ongoing active process in which the teacher must be a careful observer, communicator, facilitator, as well as a manager. The classroom atmosphere also affects the way students behave as well as how much attention they pay to the lesson. Therefore, it is important to establish rules, procedures, and standards in order to create a relaxed atmosphere in the classroom. The teacher must be friendly, understanding, respectful, patient, fair, and be willing to provide help at any time. To manage classroom resources efficiently and effectively, the management of classroom resources helps to use physical space to facilitate easy teacher movement and proximity. Try different seating arrangements. Constructive use of wall space to make a classroom more conducive to learning. To optimize students' learning and achievement, teachers should be concerned about expectations, interactions, motivation, and behavior. Also concerned with the content of education or subject matters. Concerned with the process of instruction or how children learn, their attitudes pertaining to learning, the resources, and the technology needed. An analysis of the classroom management research shows 4 general components of classroom management that affect students' achievement. Rules and procedures, disciplinary interventions, teacher-student relationships, and mental set. All these affect positively to students' achievement. If there is a favorable, understandable rules and procedures and regulations, if there is a positive disciplinary interventions, if there is a high level of teacher-student relationships, all affected positively with student educational achievement. There is a positive relationship with all these variables with the educational achievement of students. Therefore, teachers need to pay due attention on classroom management because the classroom management always support to enhance higher level of educational achievement as well as quality of teaching learning process. Satisfaction and enjoyment in teaching depends upon students' cooperation. Therefore, motivate your students to work collaboratively, accepting, responding to other students' ideas and suggestions. What are the techniques that can be used for better classroom management? Try to practice all these set techniques for better classroom management. Be punctual. It says, it believes that punctuality, teacher punctuality, supports to solve many managerial issues in the classroom. Therefore, try to be punctual. Be well prepared. Prior preparation solve many issues, many challenging issues in the process of classroom management. Use the voice effectively. Your voice can play a major role managing the classroom. Therefore, use your voice effectively. Be alert what is happening in the classroom. Also, analyze what is happening in the classroom. Not only being alert, but also analyze what is happening in the classroom. Allocate teacher attention fairly and consistently. Avoid drawing comparisons because unnecessary comparisons can hurt other students' feeling. Therefore, be very careful. Make sure promises are kept. Delegate routine classroom tasks to your children, your students. Organize the classroom well. Make sure classroom is comfortable and safe for both teachers and students. Show confidence in your teaching. Here, you need to be very careful about the accuracy of facts and the way you deliver your facts. Learn students' name as quickly as possible. And finally, teach well. Once you apply all these strategies, you will see how your students engage in teaching learning process happily and constructively. After all, you should be able to answer to the question of what is classroom management. It's effective discipline. It's all about effective discipline. It's being prepared for the class. It's motivating your students. It's providing safe, comfortable learning environment. It's building your students' self-esteem. It's being creative and imaginative in daily lessons. And it's different for everyone. Classroom management is different for everyone. Why? The teaching style, teacher personality, teacher attitudes, and student population in the classroom is vary from classroom to classroom, to school. Therefore, not all management strategies are effective for every teacher. Therefore, try different strategies to see if they work for you. Hope you enjoyed the session. Thank you very much.